Those numbers are absolutely textbook.
Hey guys, Johnny Thompson here with a couple great men, Mr. Sean Walsh of Good Good.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nick Arthur,
How are you?
specialist here at the Callaway Performance Center. Sean's going to be testing a new putter today. We're going to get a little baseline with his Gamer square to square number 7, and then we're going to show him something new and fun.
What I like to do, Sean, is kind of go, one putt at a time, just because there's a lot of data that comes up. So we're gonna have you hit a putt, you're gonna see the ball roll across the screen, then the numbers are gonna come up. Then I'm gonna kind of start explaining what those numbers mean.
Yeah.
The important thing when you look at this numbers, because it's easy to go down the rabbit hole and get overwhelmed by a lot of these numbers.
Right.
Some numbers are really important, and some numbers are not as important.
Right.
And so we kind of rank those numbers. We have a hierarchy of things. So as we're fitting the putter or looking what you're doing well or not doing well, it's important that when we're chasing numbers that we don't accidentally sabotage a really important number.
Gotcha.
To make an esoteric number a little bit better.
No, that totally makes
so
sense.
but I'll kind of explain what these numbers mean and what numbers are more important, and we'll kind of hit a putt and look at it and then hit another putt and maybe make an adjustment and then hit the new one and go from there.
Perfect, yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this, when you're not putting well, is there a trend, misses right, left, speed control? What, if you were analyzing your own putting game, where would you, if you were your own coach?
I feel like a lot of my problem is that at impact, I'm not necessarily, this is getting a little nerdy, but like I'm not delivering the putter head with enough loft. So therefore it's launching too low, which when greens are 14, that's fine.
Yeah.
But when greens are 9, 10, grainy Bermuda, up the hill type of putts, that's when I really struggle.
Yeah, if you're hard, fast, bent greens in the Midwest, everything's peachy.
We're going to be fine. I look like the best putter ever, but yeah. Good greens make everybody look like a good putter.
Misses right or left, pushes, pulls, nothing?
I'd say left would tend to be probably the spot that...
that's more likely what's happening?
Yeah, that's more likely. Yeah.
Give me one more and then we'll start going through some of the numbers here a little bit.
And Sean, before we get into the numbers, I have a question.
Yes,
so
come on.
You've been in this zero torque technology for a while. We made you a jailbird.
Yeah.
Then we came with this square to square number 7. What has gravitated you towards that zero torque technology, and what have you found has made you a better putter since going to that technology?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the way that I think about putting, I think of putting in like straight lines. I don't necessarily see a lot of curve. Like when I'm hitting a right to left putt, for example, like my target is a straight line that's equidistant with the hole, and that's the point that I'm looking at. So I think zero torque technology just really lined up with the way that I thought about putting. I guess there's two ways to think about putting. It's like there's like art form or science, right? And I don't tend to be sciencey about anything except for when it comes to my putting. And when I got into the zero torque technology, I felt like that just really that was just a piece of the equation that I'd been missing with toe hanging putters and things like that. And I just felt so confident at being able to start it online, even if I don't make a good stroke. I had some technology and some science in the putter head and in the putter itself to be able to kind of build up a little bit of a buffer, I guess.
So basically, if you read a putt 2 cups off the right edge, your aim point is that 2 points, and that's what you're staring at. That's what you're trying to...
staring at that the entire time. It's like all my practice putting drills are literally, it's like I have a perfect putter that I roll, I find the line, I put a chalk line down, and I'm just like hitting putts on that. Like all I'm concerned about is starting it at that point that I'm looking at. So
how'd you feel about that last putt you hit?
I feel like it's pretty decent.
Pretty good? Okay, a good representation of something
I would say so.
A stroke you'd be happy with?
Yes.
So if we look up there, the easy way to start looking at this, all the Quintec data that comes up is we have that color coding, right? So nice rule of thumb, when you see green, we're happy.
Okay.
When we see amber, we're almost happy.
Almost happy, okay.
When we see red, we run out of the room screaming.
Dang, there's a couple of those.
And so one of these numbers that looks like it's worse than it really is would be, for instance, if you look at the right side of the screen up there, you see that negative 31 red?
Yeah.
That is draw spin.
Right.
I see almost no tour pros putting slice spin on a putt.
Right.
I see a lot of pros, 9 out of 10 guys are going to put some amount of draw spin on it. And some guys are going to be like really close to 0, but most guys have some amount of draw spin.
Right.
But the draw spin, I don't mind at all. The top spin's fine. It's really your launch angle that I'm more concerned about. This is one of those things where it's 1.06, so you go, oh, green, we're good to go. It's just barely green.
Correct.
And it's barely green above a spot we would never want to be at. Okay, so that's one thing we would look at in terms of setting up the specs for the new putter.
So we've hit a few putts now. We got a good idea what the square to square 7's doing. I want to give you something new. There's a lot of technology in here that's going to help you with some of these things we talked about, especially the two things, how you approach putting with aiming. You know, you have a target and you want to aim it at that target. There's something in here that I think you'll love. And then also just talking about, you know, maybe the ball kind of lacks a little energy as it gets up to the hole. There's things in this putter that are going to help you maintain that energy, especially if some of that's coming from a slight mishit. So max stripe.
All right, the max stripe, huh? Ooh-wee.
So with that color contrast, that's the big thing I think is going to help you be even better at how you approach aiming. You know, if you're 2 cups off on the right edge, you have that color contrast, that stripe is going to make it that much easier to aim where you want to aim it. So this is a traditional weighted head. You know, for your length, so it's not a sledgehammer. So, you know, you don't have to go to like a cruiser setup or a broomstick setup to get these IZZ numbers. A 6,300, which is incredibly high. So again, when you slightly toe it, slightly heel it, there's 0 twist or turn, which is only going to make where you're intending to hit the putt, it's going to make it even that much more accurate.
All right.
It's a nice sound.
That is. It is. I like that sound.
I like how the room amplifies the ball going in the hole, but
It
it's
does,
deadly silent when you miss.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Everybody's like, ooh.
Okay.
What'd we think?
So far, I see there's one adjustment I want to make. Let's hit one more.
All right, perfect. I already do feel though, like just like looking down at it, I feel like it is easier for me to line up. So I'd be curious on that alignment side. Gosh, isn't it easy to make dead straight putts on 14s?
What it shows us though is your stroke's better than you think it is, and your green reading is worse than you think it is.
Oh, 100%.
Right? So it kind of helps identify what the issues are.
Right.
Okay, so this is actually going to be a little bit of a 2-for-1 sale. So if we look back up at those numbers, the number I'm still concerned about is your launch angle.
Okay.
Because we see it's 0.55 there. It's turning amber like, that might be enough. Well, yeah, it's enough in the conditions you said you like, which are the firm, fast bent greens, but not in the Green of Bermuda, which is where you're playing most of your golf.
Right.
So we need more launch angle than that. And part of the reason this is still doing this compared to your putter is because your putter had 6 degrees of total measured loft, meaning it had 3 degrees on the head, it's got 3 degrees of shaft lean. That one we set up initially at 5.
Okay.
Now, I didn't want to tweak it yet. I wanted to watch you hit it first, just to confirm, because not everyone delivers it the same way with a different head.
Right.
Sometimes the ball reacts differently off the head and the insert and the weighting of the head. So I just want to see as is what it's going to do. And it did kind of what we suspected. If I'm going to give you less loft and you're already launching a little bit lower, we're not going to make that number any better. If anything, we're going to make it worse, right?
Yeah.
So rule number 1, we got to make that, put enough loft on that putter.
Yeah.
And this is not news to you.
Right.
You kind of know this is what you do. You typically with the putter, in fact, you can see over there on the screen in the low center of the screen, the bottom of the center of the screen. Your static loft and your dynamic loft, right? So if you have the shaft angle forward, negative 5.46 degrees, which is the handle forwarded impact. And I've only got 5 degrees of loft on the putter, guess what I have at impact? There's a little minus in front of that, right? So I have dynamically negative loft. So you hit up at it to help it a little bit, but we just need more loft on the putter. Now the other thing is, if you look at your face angle, the face angle tends to start a little bit more to the right. And one thing that happens when I give people a putter that doesn't have enough loft is when they sit it down, it tends to aim more to the right. So the good news here is that it's kind of a 2-for-1 sale. We want to add loft to the putter so that not only we get the ball launched a little higher, but also it's going to sit a little bit more square and be a little more square at impact. So those are the 2 things I'd want to adjust it. Everything else looks really good. Club twist is essentially 0. Face rotation is really good. Attack angle is great. Rate of acceleration is great. So you've kind of checked all the boxes I want to see. We checked with the laser where your eyes are. You're just barely inside the ball looking out at it. So we like about 2 degrees toe up, which is where it is. So I like leaving that alone, but we just have to do something with the loft, and that's really the only thing we have to do.
Perfect.
I will probably add a couple more degrees just to get that into the 1.5 range, and then that would help the face angle too. And then after that, it's going to be all your fault.
Oh, I love to hear that, though. That's what I want to hear. So
that's what we want. That's what we want.
Exactly. Well, cool. Let's do it.
All right, Sean, we added 2 degrees of loft. We're going to try to, like Nick said, 2-for-1 it.
All right.
Do something with the aim, and then address that launch angle.
All right, all right. Yeah, I feel like right off the bat, I'm already aiming it a little bit better. Still hammering putts. Not used to 14s, man.
And you don't necessarily want to get used to 14.
That's fair. Yeah, very rarely.
Okay, so here's this is important. So I'm kind of glad you did this, just because I want you to kind of be aware of, as we change the putter. And this is something I mentioned about, sometimes I'll change lie angle and someone starts chasing the handle up and down.
Yes.
So one thing that's easy to do, especially with a good player that's really sensitive to what they're looking at with the club face angle, is I added loft there. So I put the handle more forward, more pitch on the face, essentially, statically. And then you kind of...
Did I chase it?
Yeah, you kind of move the handle more forward. Like, oh, you're going to add loft? Then I'll take away loft. So you and I are just kind of, right? So it's still lower launching than I want. The other numbers look good. The alignment got better, which I liked.
Yeah.
The lie angle's still in the right spot. But that middle number, you lean the shaft forward more a degree. So on this one, try to not do that.
Okay, I'm trying to neutralize that a little bit more. Okay.
Everything else looks good.
It's like I can kind of tell with the contrast of the color of the face, you know, I can make sure basically that I see a little bit more of that face.
Good visuals. Okay, those numbers are absolutely textbook.
All right.
So if you look up at the upper right-hand corner,
okay.
The cool thing that you went to a very nice, safe place for your launch window, 2.5, love it. You reduced a little bit the top spin, but that's still tour average. And you also actually reduced a little bit of the draw spin. Now the draw spin, I don't mind, but a little bit less doesn't hurt my feelings.
Right.
Right? Because we talked about that before. Every pro essentially is putting some type of draw spin on the ball. And you're putting still draw spin, but a little less. So even a little bit tighter, more consistent roll. So that launch window is perfect. The spin is perfect. The club twist on the lower right-hand corner, that tells me how solid you've hit it. Green numbers are tour range, blue numbers are robot range, which is better than tour. Meaning the numbers are so small, it's hard for, I mean, you need a robot to be able to basically achieve numbers. Yeah. I'm bragging on it.
Come on now.
So yeah,
Come on now.
That's a good. That's one. Yeah, you don't want to take a screenshot of that and put it in your pocket. That doesn't. The blue numbers we don't see very often.
The thing that I love about these putters too is that when we were talking about how like you said you added more loft, so my hands kind of chased it.
Yeah.
In reality, it's like the putter is meant to sit because it's such like the putter's just meant to sit naturally the way it is, right? It's like I put this putter on the ground flat and it basically sets up exactly the way I want it to be. Like it soles really well.
It's very neutral. The low point's right in the middle. So you can sit it there, and if you want to sit the face a little to the right, it stays there.
Yeah.
Sit it square, it stays there. Sit a little bit left, it stays there.
Yeah.
It's wherever you want to put it, and it just stays statically
And it just kind of stays right there.
Yep.
Because some guys putt with 1 degree of loft, some guys putt with 5 degrees of loft.
Right.
What you don't want to have is a great putter that only looks right at a specific loft.
For a specific guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you design like how that sole's designed to where the rakes, like Nick was saying, it's more neutral, so it's resting on that more neutral spot, you get the opportunity to start playing around with loft and not see the face start to...
We learned a lot today. Cool. And I appreciate it, boys.
Happy to do it.
Good equipment, good teaching.
Yeah, this guy's the man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's why he's the specialist.
It's in yours and God's hands now.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I need all the help I can get. So thank you, boys.
All right,
I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Max
Yeah.
stride.
You're the man.
Let's go.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Whew. All right, let's go make some putts.